Hey everyone, how's it going? Vinny here from AndroidAuthority.com. Today comparing the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket with the Galaxy S2 Epic Touch 4G. So to start things off, let me just let you guys know, one is on at&t, that would be this one, obviously with the at&t branding up front here. And this one being on Sprint branding evident on the back. Let's do a quick hardware tour of the devices. You'll see here up at the top we have our 3.5mm headphone jacks. To the left of both devices we have our volume rockers. Off to the right of both devices we have our power and lock buttons. On the bottom, micro USB and mic. And then around the back side we have our 8 megapixel cameras with flash, our speakers down below here, and then on to the front we have our 2 megapixel front facing cameras with our gorgeous 4.5 inch screens. Now the at&t version is a 4.5 screen. The Sprint version, the Epic Touch, is going to be a 4.52. So a little bit of difference, not really anything you're going to notice. Sitting right next to each other, they don't look any different at all, but it's worth mentioning. So before we really get into the device itself, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the speed. So they're both on 4G, however at&t is running LTE on this device, and Sprint is only running WiMAX on this one. So they have not released the LTE yet. So this is running WiMAX, which, in all seriousness, is a very quick and speedy network, but it's not as reliable as an LTE network. So the LTE network on at&t is a bit quicker, a bit snappier, but all respect, it's still due to WiMAX. It works well. It's still very speedy, very fast. You won't really notice anything in web browsing. The only time you really notice much of a speed difference is if you go on speedtest.net and check it out. With that being said, that round definitely goes to the Skyrocket. So now let's just talk about processors here. Processing wise, you're going to have a 1.5 gigahertz processor over here, a 1.2 gigahertz processor on the Epic over here. So the other difference you're looking at is you're looking at a Qualcomm on the at&t version and a Exynos on the Sprint version. So it's a very debatable topic. A lot of people out there really love the Exynos processor, and I'd happen to be one of those people that definitely agree. The Exynos processor is very speedy, very fast. It's yet to really disappoint me at all. However, the Qualcomm 1.5 gigahertz dual core has done very well for me on the at&t version. So to sum things up, I mean, you're looking at not much of a difference between the two. I can't pick one personally. The at&t one running the Qualcomm and the Sprint one running the Exynos are both very similar, and they run smoothly. You're not going to see any lag with either of them. I personally cannot choose one or the other, so this one's going to be a tie. But now let's get into the device itself without me sitting here talking your ears off forever. We will go into browser on both of these phones. We'll go to the Android Authority website. Oops. Alright, we'll go down here and turn mobile theme off. Mobile theme off. Wait for these puppies to load here. And while that's happening, I'm going to talk to you guys about battery life a little bit. So battery life on both of these are going to be pretty good, but not the best. I mean, it is an Android device, so they are known for having pretty crappy, I guess you could say, battery life. The at&t version is going to be pulling around 10 hours, while the Epic is going to be pulling around 12 to 13 hours. So even though you're going to have a bigger battery here, you're looking at a 1,850 milliamp hour battery, whereas over here you're looking at only 1,800 milliamp hour battery. The thing about both of these is that's going to make the big difference in the battery life is the LTE on the at&t version. So the LTE really drains that battery a little bit more than the WiMAX on the Epic. So you're looking at a bit better battery life on the Epic Touch 4G. So keep that in mind. Now that we're finally in here onto the web browser, by the way, I have a big Samsung Galaxy Note giveaway going on. Check that out, guys. Very cool. So go ahead and just pinch to zoom. Oops, pinched a little bit too much on this one. So we just pinch to zoom. I mean, as you can tell, neither of them are lagging. It's just pretty flawless. Something very cool on both of these handsets that you can use is you could see stuff not just pinching and zooming, but using the accelerometer to focus in on some stuff. So that's pretty neat. Also, the transition effects on both are a little blocky, but they're quick, and you know, you can't really get too picky with that, I don't think. So go in here, really zoom in here with motion using that accelerometer. Kind of hard doing this when I'm looking through the viewfinder. Oops. But in any event, browsers are really nice. You pinch out, you can pinch out to see all your tabs. You can add new, go to sprint, pinch back out. I guess you can't do it while it's loading. So pinch back out. Doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. So you can see what windows you have open. Same thing over here. Same deal. Same browser. So very nice on that front. And if you scroll down the notification bars here, we have basically the same things on both for the most part, other than the two last ones here. We got flight mode and sound different, and then we have 4G and then the screen rotation. So something to keep in mind there. A difference within the phones. Even though these phones are very similar, as you can see, just the shape of them, where the buttons are laid out, the speakers, I mean, everything looks pretty identical. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the keyboards. Let's see. Go Google search. It's just how we're going to do it, I guess. By the way, the widgets on these are pretty identical. I mean, you're looking at the same usual Samsung widgets as well as the normal Google ones. So okay, agree. Okay, so on one hand we have only two here. We have the Samsung keypad and swipe. However, on the Skyrocket, and as you can tell, it looks a little bit different. Google search bar looks a little different. We have an input method of the Android keyboard, Samsung keypad, and swipe. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Samsung keypad up on both. So, I mean, it's a very nice keyboard, very responsive. I'm not going to go in here and do a keyboard test, really. I mean, all the keyboards that are coming out on these devices nowadays are very reliable and very responsive, so you don't have much to worry about on that front of these devices. So go back home, and we're just going to talk about quality for a second. Call quality on both of these devices are going to be pretty phenomenal. Samsung in the past actually hasn't been known for their call quality, but with my testings with both of these devices, I mean, you're looking at some pretty decent call quality. I've heard little to no white noise in the background, not much static on the other user's end either. So you're not you know, you're not buying a phone just for the internet on these devices. You're definitely going to have very well driven quality as well. So the cameras, the 8 megapixel cameras on the back here, they both do 1080p, they both have a flash, and they both are pretty much the same. I mean, I could take a picture of my mouse over here and it would probably come out identical to one another. So I think the cameras are pretty much identical. I couldn't find a difference with any of them. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to upload pictures into the video. I'd like to be able to do that, but just not going to be able to do that at this time. So, but with my testings of it, I mean, the 1080p that's up on my YouTube, you can check that out. The 1080p and the pictures are going to look great. I mean, the 1080p isn't, you know, it's not a camera's perspective of 1080p. It's 30 frames per second, which is good for a phone. It's very nice. It's useful, but it's not, you know, your 60 frames per second or your 120 frames per second or anything like that. So just keep that in mind there. I mean, they're very nice cameras, but if you're really looking for something, you know, that's gonna take amazing quality video, you're gonna need to buy a camera. The phones these days have good cameras, but they're just not great quality just yet. So to wrap things up here, guys, I mean, we said the talk, or the the hardware was pretty much identical, so we didn't give a winner there. The processor was pretty much a tie. The speed we gave to at&t, so that's 1 for at&t. The screen is going to be pretty much the same. So the internet pinch to zoom test, you know, pretty much the same. Battery life went to the Epic. Keyboards, I mean, we could go with at&t just because it had 3 rather than 2, so I'll give 2 to 1. Quality identical, cameras identical, so I guess at&t wins. However, I mean, for me personally, this isn't something I wanted to implement into the video, but this is just something that I think of when I'm buying phones, is the back plate. The back plate on the at&t version is very slippery. And then there's this very texturized feel, which, you know, if you're pulling it out of your pocket, I'd rather have this on the back of my phone than this, because it might slip out of your hand a little more easily. Excuse me, I can't talk, but the at&t version's phone might slip out of your hand a little more easily. So after I fail at talking on video, we'll get back to it. So if you want to consider that, you can consider that a tie. Consider at&t wins. I don't know. It's up to you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you really think. You know, which phone you're going to get. Which phone do you think is better? I mean, do you like the fact that the Samsung Epic has better battery life? Do you like the fact that this has LTE and it's going to be faster on the data speed if you're in a market with LTE available, that is? So let me know in the comments below. Check out the site at androidauthority.com. Subscribe to the channel. Every week we're having new stuff out on the channel, so make sure you subscribe to it. Follow me on Twitter at Vin_mobile. Follow the site for all of our news articles, all of our review articles, instantly on Twitter at AndroidAuth. With all that being said, everybody, I'm going to have to say goodbye, and I'll see you next time.